Thank you, President Julie. Good morning, ladies. Are we having fun or what? Oh, yes. All right. Well, it is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Matthew Beynon. Matt is a senior director with Brabander Cox LLC, one of the nation's most awarded political media and public affairs agency. Matt has nearly 2 decades of experience providing reputation management, crisis communications, and media relations counsel to clients including corporations, nonprofits, and prominent national figures. Previously, Beynon was a partner with Madison Strategy Ventures, as well as an aide to a member of the U.S. Senate Republican leadership. During the 2012 and 2016 presidential campaigns, Beynon served as senior advisor and national communications director to former U.S. Senator Rick Santorum. He holds a Bachelor of Arts with honors from Gettysburg College and a Master of Arts from American University School of Public Affairs. Ladies, let's give Matt a warm NFRW welcome. Welcome to the stage, Matthew Beynon.
Thank you for that kind welcome. My name is Matt Beynon, and I work for, as she said, the Republican media agency Brabander Cox. So as a PR guy, I feel like I first need to say congratulations to everybody who just won awards today. I also know that as a consultant, you should never say you have favorite clients. But the reality is we do. And so many of those are our strong conservative female candidates. So just a few of them are Congresswoman Stephanie Bice of Oklahoma, Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis of New York, who both defeated incumbent Democrats in 2 of the most closely watched races in the country in 2020. Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia has been a client of ours for nearly 2 decades. And this year, we're really excited about helping State Treasurer Stacey Garrity defeat Governor Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania. The client I'm going to talk to you about today, though, is definitely not a woman, though. It is President Donald J. Trump. In the 2024 race, we served as President Trump's media and advertising advisors. We produced over 200 unique videos and ads for the president's campaign. We joined his campaign in March of 2023, more than a year and a half before the election. Our managing partner, John Brabander, was part of a very small group led by Susie Wiles and Chris LaCivita, and they managed all the president's messaging for the entire course of the campaign. And in any campaign, I think you guys know, win or lose, there's always lessons to be learned. And after nearly 2 years of court cases, primary and caucus elections, 2 assassination attempts, one of which our film crew was literally in the front row for in Butler, Pennsylvania, and 2 different general election opponents, there were a lifetime of lessons we learned. From day one, Susie Wiles and Chris LaCivita pushed our team to avoid the ordinary and challenged us to explore every possible creative avenue. Every positive thing you've heard about Chris and Susie in the media is absolutely true. They produced the perfect environment to produce great ads from us, but more importantly, ads that moved poll numbers for the president. John published a case study on our experience working for the president on our website, brabandercox.com. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about our experience with the president, I'd encourage you to go there. But today, I'd like to share with you a couple of lessons we learned working for the president. One of the things many of you probably remember from the president's ad is that there was one link between almost all of them, and that was Kamala Harris talking. A he said, she said battle is usually fought to a draw. So we decided it would be much more powerful to use Harris's own words against her on pretty much everything. Now, certainly as campaign media guys, we have dreams of the ads we're going to produce for something like a presidential campaign that has a limitless budget. You know the kind I'm talking about, the inspirational cinematography, voice of God narrating, drone shots of the president talking to tens of thousands of supporters. But time and again, the footage of Kamala Harris sticking her foot in her mouth polled better with voters than anything we could have come up with. So we stuck with it. We also recognized that not everything needed to be a 30-second TV ad. In fact, the majority of the ads we produced weren't. In today's media environment, so much of what is consumed is not on your TV. It's on your phone, it's on your iPad, it's on every screen in front of you. And that gives us the opportunity to tell longer stories. This afternoon, I'm going to be speaking at a breakout session focused on younger voters. And one of the topics we'll address is how younger voters consume media so much differently than virtually any generation before them. By a show of hands, how many of you watch Fox News? How many of you watch Newsmax? Well, younger voters, Republican or Democrats, don't. For Generation Z, which is 18 to 30-year-olds, their top news platform is TikTok. The second, YouTube. Cable television and news broadcasts, 8th. As a campaign, we needed to meet voters where they were, which was everywhere and on every screen. Probably the best example of this happened about a week before the election. John got a call from a woman who said she had been referred to the campaign, by the campaign to him, and she wanted to tell her family's story. The woman's name was Alexis Nungary from Houston, Texas. You may not know who Alexis is, but you probably have heard about her daughter, Jocelyn. Jocelyn Nungary was a 12-year-old girl who was brutally raped and murdered at the hands of 2 illegal immigrants who were only in our country because of the failed policies of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Within 24 hours of that phone call, we had a film crew in Houston allowing Alexis to tell Jocelyn's story. But we quickly learned that story, we couldn't do justice to it in 30 seconds. And we were only a week out from the election itself, so we really couldn't get a TV ad on air in that time anyway. So what we did was we produced a 3-minute video for the campaign to use on the president's social and digital channels. And the response was amazing. Within 72 hours of President Trump tweeting that video out, 52 million Americans watched that video of Jocelyn's story. To put that in perspective, that's as many people who watched that video of Jocelyn as watched the final episode of Friends. The final lesson I just want to leave you with today is to always remember that voters are not buying a candidate. What they are buying is what that candidate can provide for them. This was our strategy with President Trump. There was always a very clear story arc to almost all the content we produced for him. Start with a problem, and how does that affect the voter? Position Joe Biden as the root of that problem, which they were, and President Trump as the solution. Rarely did we start with President Trump or feature him throughout the ad, because voters weren't buying President Trump. They were buying the America he was going to provide. A stronger economy, safer neighborhoods, returning of pride to our country. After the election, the Harris campaign was quoted as saying that they ran a flawless campaign except they lost. How arrogant is that? No campaign is perfect. No campaign is flawless. Ours certainly wasn't. But I do know this. The Trump campaign was well run, it was disciplined, and it overcame more challenges than any other campaign in modern political history. It was also creative and innovative. And most importantly, and in large part due to your help, President Trump won. Thank you.